Chapter 61.
Just as everyone was guessing whether or not Shi Feng was a noble NPC. As drifting blood was being dragged away, he glared at Shi Feng with eyes of a poisonous snake, bellowing, "Brat, just you wait. I'll remember you now.
Our martial union will not let you off. I'll still be a good guy when I come out 12 hours later. When that time comes, there would be no place in Red Leaf Town for you." Everyone felt chills down their backs as they heard Drifting Blood's malicious threat.
Was he planning to fight to the death? However, no one dared to belittle Shi Feng any longer. Just by judging from his single action just now, they knew Shi Feng was not as simple as he looked.
Martial Union was a relatively famous guild in Red Leaf Town. They were very well known in other wuxia virtual reality games.
They were not a guild managed by a workshop, but instead, they were a guild that was managed by casual gamers. Including investments from a few wealthy personages, Martial Union also started establishing a foothold in God's domain.
Although they did not reach the standards of a third-rate guild, they were not a guild to be taken lightly. Currently, God's domain monopolized the entire virtual gaming industry. Under the support of the recently developed main God system, God's domain did not require humans for operation.
The main God system assured fairness in the game, and it would also constantly evolve the game, continuously pumping out various quests, dungeons, hidden locations, and so on. God's domain was a living game, and it was something that no other virtual reality game could compare to. The maps in God's domain were also immensely vast, sufficient for the entire population of Earth.
Moreover, a majority of the things available in real life could also be experienced within the game, in addition to things that could not be found in real life.
God's domain was slowly trending towards becoming a second world, and other virtual reality games had no chance of competing with it. After Drifting Blood was dragged away by the guards, everyone's gaze turned towards Shi Feng. They all held curiosity on their faces, and their eyes tried to see through Shi Feng. They wanted to know whether or not Shi Feng was an NPC. Unfortunately, no matter what kind of observation skills they used, the results told them that Shi Feng was 100% a player and not an NPC. This only further increased everyone's confusion. Yet, nobody dared to go over and ask Shi Feng, as Shi Feng might not even answer them. If by chance they were to cause Shi Feng displeasure, who knew, they might be the next Drifting Blood. Shi Feng looked at the puzzled faces of the people around him. He merely revealed a faint smile at the sight as he turned to leave. After living in God's domain for 10 years, he long since clearly understood the rules of God's domain. A player would be captured and jailed if he were to attack another player inside a safe zone. However, as long as an action did not cause any damage, even if it were an intense bodily contact, the guards would not pay heed to it. Pressing onto Drifting Blood and clapping his shoulders were both actions that did not cause damage. It was just that the strength behind it was different than what one would normally use for such actions. Naturally, the guards would not care about such actions. However, Drifting Blood used Charge, a skill that would cause the target to enter into a fainted state in addition to damage. Moreover, there were also his aggressive actions. The guards naturally would not let him off freely. Meanwhile, female players only had to activate the anti-harassment system to prevent harassing players from doing anything to them. However, Violet Cloud just recently entered God's domain, so it was natural for her not to know about it. Regarding Drifting Blood's threat, Shi Feng paid no heed to it. Martial Union was a guild that did not even reach the standard of third rate. Shi Feng previously used to lead the weak shadow to stand off against many first-rate guilds, and these first-rate guilds were helpless dealing with them. Martial Union, a leisure guild that only had several thousand players, was not worth even mentioning. If they wished to find trouble with him, he would just deal with them. As a reincarnated person with a magic weapon in hand, what was he afraid of? As for deepening his relationship with Violet Cloud, Shi Feng could only leave it aside for now as he searched for another way.
The girl's vigilance was just too heavy for him to get through. However, Shi Feng understood her reasons. If it were the snow goddess standing in his place, Violet Cloud might have a different reaction. Shi Feng bitterly laughed, shaking his head as he left. "Sir, please hold on a moment," Violet Cloud finally said, no longer able to endure it. The enticement of 10 silver coins was just too great. This was her biggest chance. If she were to miss it, what would happen to her sick mother? "Oh, did you change your mind?" Shi Feng turned around to look at Violet Cloud's troubled expression, smiling as he spoke. Violet Cloud stayed on guard as she looked at Shi Feng's eyes, trying to discern any bad intentions within them. However, no matter how she looked at them, she could not discover any special emotions within them. Instead, she could feel a vast ocean hidden within the depths of Shi Feng's eyes. However, she still asked in caution, "You truly want only the fruit juice and absolutely won't have other requests?" Shi Feng was sweating profusely in his heart. For her to seek confirmation over and over, just how unreliable was he? He would have left long ago, were it not for her potential to become a cleric god, as even he was unable to endure being thought of as a lecherous bastard by others. "In any case, I'm in need of a chef to make some things for me. How about this? We'll set up a contract, and I'll hire you to be my chef. I'll give you the same treatment as a lifestyle player in a third-rate guild. You should be able to relax with the main god system's guarantee. If you don't have any problems, then follow me. If you still can't feel reassured, then just stay here." Shi Feng let out a sigh, speaking unhurriedly. Violet Cloud was dumbfounded. The man before her was actually hiring her, and he was even giving her an ordinary job. It should be known that chef was a lifestyle job that nobody thought highly of. No one ever hired chef players. She had heard before, from her best friend, the treatment of a lifestyle player in a third-rate guild. At that time, her friend even showed off that her boyfriend was a lifestyle player in a third-rate guild and how great the monthly treatment he received was. If he performed well, there would even be various kinds of benefits. The treatment was much better than many jobs that were available in real life, and this caused Violet Cloud to be extremely envious. "I'll follow you. However, I work very slowly. Is there really no problem?" Violet Cloud ground her teeth, deciding to agree with Shi Feng. If she were to let go of this chance, what sort of future awaited her? Judging from his various performances, Shi Feng did not seem like a bad person. Moreover, she was just a very ordinary female player. There was absolutely no need for him to conspire and trick her. This was a virtual world. If she did not reveal her address in real life, Shi Feng would not be able to track her at all. Moreover, Shi Feng would have to bear a great risk in doing so. "Follow me then. I still have some things I need to buy." Shi Feng nodded his head, appearing to be very calm. However, inwardly, he was in ecstasy. He had swindled a cleric god into his hands, just like that. As for the snow goddess, Shi Feng could only apologize and say, "First come, first served." Subsequently, Violet Cloud left with Shi Feng. Shi Feng brought along Violet Cloud, returning to the grocery shop once more. He bought an assortment of equipment used by chefs such as pots, spatulas, knives, and so on, spending less than 2 silver coins in total. Afterward, he went to the Chefs' Association, spending 1 silver coin to purchase 2 sheets of basic cooking recipes. One was a recipe for cooking wolf meat, the other for making an energizing drink. At the same time, he spent an additional 5 silver coins purchasing plenty of materials that were required by these recipes, as well as the materials for the fruit juice. Violet Cloud was shocked by Shi Feng's actions. He actually spent so much money, buying so many things. He was just too rich. Her previous notion of Shi Feng being unreliable completely changed now. The materials and recipes Shi Feng had spent so much money buying were sufficient to allow her to promote herself to an advanced apprentice chef. This was a treatment not even the lifestyle players of first-rate guilds would receive.
However, what Violet Cloud did not know of was that Shi Feng felt that these items were very cheap.
It was truly easy to nurture a chef. All the materials required by the recipes could be bought from the NPC, and it only took 10 silver coins to nurture an advanced apprentice chef. Such an amount of money would not even be enough to squander for nurturing a forger or potion maker. Shi Feng then rented a basic kitchen, bringing Violet Cloud to it. After you sign the contract, all these materials and recipes will belong to you. You only need to create 900 cups of fruit juice first. Then, use everything remaining for these 2 recipes. You will receive a 20% share when these items are sold. At the same time, depending on your results, I'll decide your base salary every month. If you try to run away, you'll have to compensate me 10 times that amount. Sign it if you don't have any problems. Shi Feng brought out a standard employment contract for lifestyle players from the main god system. Aside from having different treatments, these contracts were the same as others. There were no loopholes in them, and the law held effect over it. Chapter 62. Violet Cloud was in a daze for a long time after reading the contract. She believed she was in a dream. She heard before the treatment lifestyle players received in third-rate guilds. The treatment she would be receiving was definitely better than those lifestyle players. It was especially true for the base salary. Lifestyle players of third-rate guilds definitely did not receive such treatment. Why are you being so good to me? Violet Cloud looked at Shi Feng with wide, teary eyes, asking. She wanted to know the reason. Don't misunderstand. I'm only in need of a chef. I've only hired you because I can see you're a very hard-working and earnest person. If you try to take advantage of the situation and fail to hit my requirements, then you can get lost. I'm not interested in nurturing someone useless, Shi Feng suddenly spoke in a grave tone. He wanted Violet Cloud to know that it was not easy to become his personal chef. That was because people were bound to become wasteful when they constantly received things without effort. Violet Cloud was frightened after being told so by Shi Feng. She lowered her head, no longer daring to ask any more silly questions. Judging from Shi Feng's attitude, it was clear that he was indeed looking for a chef, and that she had just been chosen by chance. Hence, Violet Cloud lifted the pen and signed the contract. This was her final chance at escaping her desperate situation. She definitely must grab a hold of it. Boss, will I be making them here? Violet Cloud immediately entered her role, appearing very respectful. She took a look at her surroundings. The environment here was very good, and it was also very peaceful. However, the rental for the basic kitchen was by no means cheap. Yeah, you'll be manufacturing the items here from now on. I've already applied for the membership here so that you can come here anytime. There is enough money stored for you to use a long period. There won't be anyone here to disturb you. The facilities here are also thorough, so your success rate can be increased by quite a bit. If you don't have any problems, then you can start working now. In 30 hours, if I don't see the 900 cups of fruit juice, then you may leave. Shi Feng was very satisfied with Violet Cloud's attitude. He turned and left after finished saying his piece. As for luring Violet Cloud onto the path of battles and leveling, more time would be needed to slowly lead her towards that path. Moreover, Shi Feng had a great purpose for fruit juice. It would not be a bad choice to allow Violet Cloud to make them for him. Violet Cloud's eyes followed Shi Feng's back as he left. Her heart was filled with gratitude towards Shi Feng. She made a firm resolution to work properly and to not disappoint her new boss. After leaving the Chefs' Association, Shi Feng returned to the Forging Association. Currently, the number of forgers in the Forging Association was constantly increasing. These players formed small conversation groups, either discussing how to increase their success rates or discussing the struggle between hammer trading and the mysterious forger. The two had become the target of envy, as well as idols of worship for these players. Did you see the article posted by Hammer Trading just now? Of course I've seen it.
I never imagined hammer trading would be so hot-tempered as to actually insistent on challenging the mysterious forger.
He even declared that the first one to withdraw from this price war would be a son of a bitch.
Ah, I truly envy them.
They had actually obtained a bronze forging design.
How great would it be if I could have one as well? At the very least, I could join a third-rate guild if I had one.
What do you even know?
I've heard the forgers that are in guilds saying that the drop rate for bronze forging designs is frighteningly low. Moreover, its success rate is also shockingly low.
Currently, selling them for 3 to 4 silver coins per piece is just a complete loss.
The glimmer chestplate with better attributes would create an even bigger loss.
On the other hand, the various guilds are all in cheerful moods, even thanking Hammer Trading for his actions.
Otherwise, how would they be able to buy bronze equipment at such low prices? Truthfully speaking, I dislike that hammer trading very much. Was it bad to let all forgers profit together? Why must he insist on challenging the mysterious forger to the very end, causing both sides to suffer? Hearing the discussions of these players, Shi Feng entered deep thought. After a moment, he revealed a faint smile. Judging from Hammer Trading's actions, it was clear that he was currently having a hard time. The silver coins in his possession were definitely insufficient, and he must be wantonly purchasing silver coins from the market right now. This would lead to a great increase in prices for silver coins, so it was the perfect chance for Shi Feng to sell them. Shi Feng wanted to thank Hammer Trading. If it were not for him, the market for equipment would not be as lively as it is now.
Currently, there would be a large amount of silver coins entering his pockets every so often.
Meanwhile, although Shi Feng had spent quite a lot of it, the amount of money he possessed was still madly increasing. The money he possessed had already reached 3 gold coins.
At the reception desk, Shi Feng once more rented an intermediate forging room for 5 hours, starting a new round of forging and manufacturing. However, before he started forging, Shi Feng entered the virtual center. He wanted to check the prices for God's domain's game currency and sell some of the game currency he possessed. Just leaving it in his pockets was truly a waste. Shi Feng was in the dark when he did not check, but the moment he did, he was shocked.
Although there was a large number of players in God's domain, the number of players who were selling the game's currency did not exceed 100. More importantly, the selling prices were astonishing.
A single silver coin was selling for 60 credits.
The price was at least double of that during Shi Feng's previous life.
However, the number of silver coins sold by these players were very small, mostly around 2 to 3 silver coins per player. Aside from the sellers, there were also players who were buying God's domain currency in bulk.
The lowest buying price was at 55 credits per silver coin, while the highest was at 58 credits per silver coin.
That meant that a single silver coin in God's domain was enough for Shi Feng to eat in luxury for 2 days. It was because of this competition that caused the prices of silver coins to be so expensive. At the current stage of the game, so long as a person had a brain, they would know not to sell any of their game currency. On the other hand, there were many guilds who were purchasing game currencies in bulk, at a reasonable price. There were only a scant few money farming groups and workshops who would sell some of their currency.
However, the amount they sold was extremely low. Moreover, their prices were extremely high.
Only as a last resort would the various guilds buy currency from these groups. However, these guilds knew the price competition for equipment was a great chance for them to reap some benefits. So, they would definitely purchase game currency in bulk. However, there was not that much game currency available for sale. They could only purchase the game currency sold at the virtual center.
Moreover, where did the large amount of game currency flow to?
A majority of it was definitely in Shi Feng's pockets, while a minority was at the material merchant side. That meant Shi Feng was currently a big shot at selling game currency.
Even a 100-man money farming group was far from being able to compare with Shi Feng.
Without hesitation, Shi Feng immediately placed 3 gold coins up for sale,
selling each silver coin at 60 credits.
Shi Feng still needed to collect the money to buy 2 virtual gaming helmets, so how could he be polite with these tycoons? Although the price was slightly high, to obtain equipment, the many guilds in White River City will definitely buy them. When that time came, all these game currencies would eventually return to his hands. After settling this matter, Shi Feng started focusing on forging equipment and manufacturing forging designs. 5 hours went by quickly. Shi Feng once more forged more than 80 glimmer chest plates and 50 forging designs for the glimmer chest plate. The 200,000 express required by the teleportation orb had been filled, and his own experience had also increased by quite a lot. He was just 22% away from level 4 now, and he was just short of slightly more than 200 proficiency points before becoming an intermediate forging apprentice. In this forging session, the forging designs made were the most valuable when compared to the equipment made. Looking at the current popularity of the glimmer chest plate, the various guilds were definitely in a rush to obtain their own bronze equipment forging design. They wanted to nurture their own forgers and create their own bronze equipment. After all, the drop rate of bronze equipment was extremely low. There were also not that many elite monsters available to hunt. In regards to the millions of players in White River City, the amount of equipment sold by Shi Feng and Hammer Trading was insignificant. There were still swarms of players requiring the equipment. After leaving the forging room, the amount of money in Shi Feng's pockets once more increased by a lot. Hence, Shi Feng made a trip to the trade area, once more purchasing stones and hard stones. He then cleared out the card sets and hard stones that were sold at the auction house, and in turn, placing the over 80 glimmer chest plates on auction. However, the selling price for the equipment this time was slightly different. The minimum price was no longer at 4 silver coins but 3 silver coins. Hammer Trading was quickly nearing insanity from the competition. When Hammer Trading saw Shi Feng had once again lowered his selling price, Hammer Trading even spat out blood. Now that Shi Feng reduced his selling price, naturally, Hammer Trading had to reduce his as well. Did Shi Feng want him to sell a kidney? Must he be so merciless? The person himself, however, did not put much consideration into such matters. Shi Feng only wanted to advertise the glimmer chest plate. After leaving the auction house, Shi Feng stored the Philosopher's Stone and materials in the bank. Afterward, Shi Feng went to the pharmacy to purchase 2 stacks of basic regeneration potions. He then went to the magic shop, purchasing over 10 types of magic scrolls. He bought 5 pieces of each kind, and each piece cost around 20 to 40 coppers. Now that the experience required by the teleportation magic orb has been fully collected, Shi Feng could go to the Moonlight Forest. However, the Moonlight Forest was not an easy and relaxing place to stay. On the contrary, crises came one after another there, making the place extremely dangerous. Players dubbed the map as the Land of Eternal Rest. Without proper preparations, players would definitely die 10 out of 10 times there. The scrolls Shi Feng bought were all necessary tools for him to survive in the wilderness. Before, he did not have that much money, so he did not bother with purchasing the magic scrolls. Now that he did, he naturally would not be courteous. At the very least, these scrolls could improve his survival chances there, rather dying 9 out of 10 times. Following which, Shi Feng searched for a deserted location and activated the teleportation magic orb. Shi Feng then transformed into a streak of white light, vanishing from Red Leaf Town. Chapter 63. The sky was a dull gray. A full moon shone, scattering faint silvery rays throughout the tranquil forest. From the crystal-clear lake, one could hear the croaking of frogs. Fireflies were dancing throughout the forest. The scene was like a fantasy from a children's fairy tale. This place was the Moonlight Forest, also known as the Land of Eternal Rest, by players. The moment Shi Feng arrived at this place, the first thing he did was take out an isolation scroll. Immediately, he activated the magic contained within the scroll.
The dazzling magical runes written on the scroll came rushing out, and Shi Feng's body suddenly became blurry.
If looking from a far distance, it was very hard to notice Shi Feng's existence.
Each isolation scroll cost 40 copper coins.
It was practically the entire fortune of an average player. Although the price was high, its effects were remarkable.
The isolation scroll could greatly decrease a player's sense of presence, making it hard for surrounding enemies to discover them. The scroll had a duration of half an hour, and it was a must-have tool when exploring dangerous areas. Although it was not as effective as an assassin's stealth, it was better than nothing for jobs that did not possess stealth. When the isolation scroll was used, within a 30-yard radius, players would not be easily discovered by common monsters below level 15.
Unless, of course, said player was courting death and attacked the monster.
Following which, Shi Feng infiltrated the forest. He headed towards the central region of the Moonlight Forest in search of moonstones, wanting to remove the hateful curse even a little faster.
The Moonlight Forest was a level 9 monster area. Its location was not in Star Moon Kingdom, but an isolated space.
Every city had a teleportation gate directed towards the Moonlight Forest. In Shi Feng's previous life, over 90% of the level 9 players in God's domain would grind for treasure here. However, even if a player were already level 10, the place would still massacre them. That was because the monsters here usually stayed in groups of 3 to 5, and they possessed powerful skills. A single misstep could cause a party wipe.
Even so, players would still persevere, rushing to their deaths over and over as if they were possessed.
As a result of the constant deaths, the Moonlight Forest was referred to by others as the Land of Eternal Rest. Meanwhile, the reason these players would persevere to such a degree was mainly that the monsters here dropped gemstones.
Moreover, the drop rate was relatively high.
The number of treasure chests here was also high. As long as one found a treasure chest, there was an 80% chance to obtain gemstones. Gemstones were very valuable in God's domain.
The reason being, they were able to increase the attributes of a piece of equipment.
Depending on the color of the gemstones, the attributes they increased were also different. Red increased strength, yellow increased agility, blue increased endurance, purple increased intelligence, and green increased vitality. A Tier 1 gemstone could increase an attribute by 2 points. However, such an amount must not be belittled. A piece of bronze equipment could have 1 gemstone embed into it, whereas a piece of mysterious iron equipment could have 2 gemstones into it. If every piece of equipment worn by a player were outfitted with gemstones, a number of accumulated attributes would be very terrifying. That was why the demand for gemstones was extremely great. The prices of gemstones would always remain high, causing many players to take the great risk of farming gemstones at the Moonlight Forest. Moreover, there were various resources such as ore, herbs, rare food materials, and so on in the Moonlight Forest. However, the most well-known part about the Moonlight Forest was still the 50-man dungeon, the sleeping fortress, that resided there.
The dungeon was also the location to exchange card sets.
However, only after the dungeon had been cleared by a team, would players of the same area be allowed to enter the dungeon to exchange their card sets. However, Shi Feng's current goal was not the card sets, but the moonstones. The moonstones could only be found in the core area of the Moonlight Forest. Only, Shi Feng could not help but be careful when taking action. Not mentioning the extreme dangers found in the Moonlight Forest, Shi Feng was just level 3 right now, and he was entering a level 9 monster area. If he were to die an accidental death, then the 200,000 express he collected would be for naught, and he would have to start collecting it all over again.
He had yet to reach level 10, so he could not activate the teleportation gate found in cities.
If he were to die, his only choice was to return to Red Leaf Town. If he wished to return to this place, his only choice was to collect the required experience. Currently, Shi Feng was far behind the leading experts regarding level.
It would be an absolute nightmare if Shi Feng were to die once and have to collect another 200,000 express.
Just after entering the forest, Shi Feng could see level 9 shadow leopards hiding either up in the trees or in the bushes, each of them prepared to ambush their foe. If it were not for the isolation scroll, Shi Feng would have long since been discovered.
Shi Feng naturally wasn't an opponent for a level 9 monster, so he could only avoid them.
Besides, his goal here was not to kill monsters, and even more so, there was no need for him to pick a fight with the shadow leopards. Shi Feng carefully circled the shadow leopards, one after another. After spending more than an hour doing so, he arrived at a wide and towering forest made of stone.
In this stone forest existed a group of battle maniacs called mountain beast fighters.
They were a group of tenacious warriors that did not fear suffering.
The thing they loved most was battling, and the fiercer, the better.
At the same time, they were also guarding a large pile of treasure, and amongst the treasure was the rarely seen moonstone. However, the entire stone forest was filled with these armored, gigantic creatures.
Wielding a spiked club the height of 2 people, these creatures patrolled the stone forest, preventing anyone from entering.
If Shi Feng were to set foot in the stone forest, there was a 100% chance for him to be discovered. At that time, a group of those mountain beast fighters would come rushing over, and a swing from each of those spiked clubs would easily turn Shi Feng into meat paste.
Mountain Beast Fighter, Common Rank. Level 9. HP 1100. Looks like I can only clear the way slowly.
After searching for half a day, Shi Feng still could not find any safe way to penetrate the heart of the forest. His only choice was to kill his way there.
Shi Feng could not help but admit that the difficulty of an epic quest was indeed very hard. This was just the beginning, yet he was already required to face off against the level 9 mountain beast fighters. He did not know what kinds of challenges he would meet further down the line. Fortunately, he was very familiar with the terrain of the Moonlight Forest. He knew many methods to deal with the beast warriors before him. The mountain beast fighters were abnormally powerful, and their attacks were out of the ordinary. Even shield warriors and guardian knights of an equal level were unable to take more than a few hits from them.
However, their bodies were enormous, resulting in their movement speed being relatively slow.
In Shi Feng's previous life, there were many elementalists who used Frost Arrow to reduce their speed.
They then utilized the unique terrain of the stone forest to avoid the attacks from the spiked clubs, kiting and killing the mountain beast fighters.
Following which, this stone forest became a holy ground for ranged players.
Mountain beast fighters could be seen being kited through various means throughout the stone forest.
Although Shi Feng did not possess any speed reduction skills, he could use other methods to supplement it.
As for kiting the mountain beast fighters, he had the rare skill, Defensive Blade 1, which could increase his attack range by quite a lot.
Shi Feng did not believe that a Sword King expert, such as himself, could not beat a level 10 elementalist regarding utilizing the terrain to dodge attacks. After properly observing the terrain, Shi Feng ran practice simulations in his mind a total of 5 times. Carrying out mental simulations would have a tremendous effect during actual operation. Hence, every expert would often carry out mental simulations of the operation before actually taking action. The reason why experts were experts was because of the preparations they made were much greater than others. There would often be many average players who would admire the experts in God's domain. They would lament over their own skills being poor, determining that they would never be able to reach the level of these experts. In reality, however, they did not know how great of an effort these experts were putting into each day. The suffering these experts went through each day far exceeded the average player. It was the reason why they could shine brilliantly. After running through the simulations, Shi Feng took out a black steel beer and a speed scroll. The black steel beer could reduce a monster's level by 2. In addition to the attributes of the Abyssal Blade, Shi Feng would not be suppressed due to the level difference, even when facing a level 9 monster. He would be able to deal damage normally. As for the speed scroll, each one of them cost 25 copper coins. It increased the user's movement speed by 25% for a duration of 10 minutes.
This scroll was a life-saving item when out in the wilderness.
Shi Feng bought a total of 20 of them just for such occasions. If the average player were to learn about this, they would definitely curse Shi Feng as a spendthrift.
Such an item would only be used when one was in a life or death crisis. Meanwhile, Shi Feng used it for killing common monsters. It was just too extravagant.
If Shi Feng were not cursed, he could easily kite these monsters, just based on his attributes. However, his attributes were now reduced by 50%. The suppression was just too great, so it was safer to use a speed scroll.
If Shi Feng were to mess things up, it would not just be a matter of losing a level. He would have also wasted 200,000 express. Shi Feng took a deep breath, relaxing his body as he looked towards the closest mountain beast fighter.
Following which, his 2 feet exploded with strength, rushing towards the mountain beast fighter.
1. Defensive blade, mentioned in Chapter 52. Normal attacks range increased by 10 yards after use.
Able to block up to a maximum of 6 ranged attacks or 3 melee attacks.
Duration of 25 seconds.
Chapter 64.
When the distance between Shi Feng and the mountain beast fighter was less than 30 yards, the monster discovered Shi Feng speeding towards it. It widened its mouth and let out an ear-piercing battle cry. It raised its gigantic spiked club, using a charge and rushing towards Shi Feng. Shi Feng immediately pulled out the abyssal blade. The blade slashed horizontally as Shi Feng used parry. Pung! Shi Feng was knocked back by 5 yards, pulling some distance away from the mountain beast fighter without taking any damage.
After he landed, he immediately spun around and ran towards the stone forest. If players were hit by the mountain beast fighter's charge, the monster would immediately follow up with a break to reduce the player's speed, preventing them from escaping. In Shi Feng's previous life, the elementalists who were struck by the beast fighter's charge would immediately use Frozen Nova to freeze the monster for 8 seconds. They would take the chance to gain some distance, then continue by kiting the monster. The mountain beast fighters would only use charge on the first meeting, using suppressing skills afterward. As long as the elementalists did not let the monsters catch up to them, there would be no danger whatsoever.
Also, nearby there were numerous large rocks that could be used to toy with the mountain beast fighters, making the process of killing them a lot easier.
After using the speed scroll, Shi Feng's speed was faster than the mountain beast fighter just by a thread. It was not very obvious, but it was this small difference that prevented the mountain beast fighter from catching up to him. After entering the densely packed stone forest, Shi Feng turned around and used Thundering Flash. From a distance of 15 yards, 3 sword rays immediately pierced through the beast fighter's armor, causing 3 damages of -15, -19, -13. Without the level suppression, even if Shi Feng's attributes were reduced by 50%, his attack power and skill damage were still very powerful. After using the skill, Shi Feng's speed slightly reduced, and the mountain beast fighter caught up to him within an instant.
The beast fighter was clearly furious after being struck. It roared as it brandished its spiked club, smashing it at Shi Feng. Shi Feng hurriedly turned his body, hiding by a nearby rock. The spiked club did not land on Shi Feng. It only hit the stone and created a splash of broken rocks. During this attack, Shi Feng, once again, pulled a distance of over 8 yards away from the monster. After using Thundering Flash, Shi Feng activated Defensive Blade. His attack range suddenly increased to 15 yards.
As long as he maintained a 5-yard distance between the mountain beast fighter, the monster would not be able to land a hit on him. Shi Feng brandished his sword as he paid attention to the distance between him and the monster, pulling back to avoid the club whenever he was too close. In such a way, streak after streak of swordlight landed on the mountain beast fighter's body.
The beast fighter could only bellow in helplessness as its HP continuously fell.
It never imagined that a human could actually be so agile and cunning. Every time its attack was about to land, the human would dodge towards a nearby rock. Its bulky spiked club could not land a hit at all. Instead, it only served to create a gap between itself and the human. Just when the mountain beast fighter's HP went below 7%, another mountain beast fighter suddenly appeared from behind a rock. It blocked Shi Feng's path, using charge at him. Scram! Faced with the sudden appearance of another monster, Shi Feng immediately used Abyssal Bind on it, preventing the monster from moving. At the same time, the Abyssal Bind also cancelled the life-threatening charge. Since the mountain beast fighter had been locked up, Shi Feng naturally would not let the skill go to waste. He immediately used Wind Blade, instantly shaking off the low HP mountain beast fighter, and his blade landed on the bound mountain beast fighter's neck. Shi Feng continued by using Double Chop, causing a bleeding effect on the monster. He then used another chop on the monster. Just within 3 seconds, Shi Feng had taken away 16% of this mountain beast fighter's HP. Seeing as the low HP mountain beast fighter was about to catch up, Shi Feng dodged and arrived at behind the restricted beast fighter. He raised the pitch-black abyssal blade high, abruptly slashing down. Thundering flash. Above the heads of both mountain beast fighters, 3 consecutive damages of -16, -19, -23 appeared. The low HP beast warrior fell to the ground with a bang. System: mountain beast fighter killed. Level difference of 6. Express obtained increased by 600%. Obtained 36 Express. Such an amount of experience could be considered negligible to Shi Feng, who is currently level 3. On the other hand, the proficiency points for using skills were gained much faster. Every use would definitely increase the skill's proficiency by 3 points. This allowed Chop to quickly rise to level 3. In addition to the Abyssal Blade's attributes, Shi Feng's Chop was now level 5, its might greatly increasing. Double Chop had also risen to level 2, and if the skill were used through the Abyssal Blade, it would be a level 4 Double Chop. The damage caused by the bleeding effect also increased significantly. The restricted mountain beast fighter bellowed. It finally broke free from the chains, and it wanted to annihilate Shi Feng. However, Shi Feng gave it no chance. He immediately distanced himself 5 yards away from the monster and continued kiting it. Although the defensive blade had a long cooldown and a short duration, by using Thundering Flash, Double Chop, and Parry in concert, Shi Feng could still slowly grind the mountain beast fighter down. Not a minute later, another mountain beast fighter fell. However, the mountain beast fighters did not reward Shi Feng with anything special. There were only 3 pieces of hard stone and 2 copper coins. On the other hand, killing these mountain beast fighters was a good way to grind skill proficiency points. Subsequently, Shi Feng advanced forward while killing mountain beast fighters. These monsters had a short respawn time, so from time to time, Shi Feng would attract 2 to 3 of these mountain beast fighters. Fortunately, the stone forest had narrow spaces. This resulted in the beast fighters blocking each other's path, their numbers causing their speed to reduce instead. Seeing this, Shi Feng had sudden inspiration. He started luring more and more mountain beast fighters, and within a short moment, he had lured over 20 of these monsters. The monsters chased after Shi Feng as a group, but the narrow pathways of the stone forest prevented them from even stretching their bodies. Just a slight movement and they would run into the other mountain beast fighters. Such a situation allowed Shi Feng to become much more relaxed. Shi Feng constantly used Thundering Flash and various other skills to burn off the HP of the mountain beast fighters behind him. Shi Feng kept luring new mountain beast fighters as he attacked the ones behind him. In such a way, Shi Feng's skill proficiency points increased without stop. After 3 hours, Thundering Flash had risen to level 3. Chop had risen to level 5. Double Chop to level 4, Wind Blade to level 3, Defensive Blade to level 2, and Wind Walk to level 2.
This increase allowed Shi Feng to kill monsters with greater ease.
With the increase from the Abyssal Blade, the damage from a single thundering flash could take away over 90 HP from each mountain beast fighter. A chop could also cause more than 60 points of damage.
The bleeding damage caused by double chop was also very powerful. However, Shi Feng's level remained at 3.
He was still quite a distance away from level 4.
If it were not for the curse, he would have long since risen in level.
Looking at the ground littered with mountain beast fighter corpses, Shi Feng decided to take a rest and pick up the loot. Otherwise, all these corpses would become too much of a hindrance.
In God's domain, if a player did not pick up the loot, the monster's corpse would require 24 hours before it was removed by the system.
The loot from hundreds of mountain beast fighters was extremely shocking.
Just from the money dropped, there was already more than 4 silver coins.
There was also a lot of materials.
As for the moonstones, 7 pieces were dropped. It was still quite a distance away from 30 pieces.
Moreover, a few pieces of level 7 to level 10 common equipment also dropped. Isn't this a piece of the Silver Moon set equipment? Shi Feng picked up a silvery white helmet from the ground, slightly shocked. Silver Moon helmet, bronze plate armor. Equipment requirement, strength 35. Defense plus 43. Strength plus 5. Agility plus 4, endurance plus 4. Battle recovery plus 1. Durability 40/40ths. Limited to berserkers and swordsmen.
This helmet was 1 out of 5 pieces of equipment belonging to the Silver Moon set equipment. As long as 2 pieces of the set were collected, the first set effect could be activated.
4 pieces of equipment were required for the second set effect, while all 5 pieces were needed for the third set effect.
Each set effect was better than the previous. The Silver Moon set equipment was regarded as one of the best set equipment for berserkers and swordsmen below level 10. However, its drop rate was extremely low, and it was extremely hard to gather a complete set.
Unlike other equipment, the Silver Moon set equipment did not possess a level limit.
It was only limited by attributes. So long as a player fulfilled the required attributes, they would be able to wear it. Suddenly, Shi Feng grew a great interest towards the Silver Moon set equipment.
Maybe it was because the map had yet to be populated, so the drop rate right now was so high. If Shi Feng were to miss out on this chance, he would definitely regret it in the future.
35 points in strength, to the average player, they would most likely need to reach level 8 or level 9 before they would be able to wear this equipment. However, with Shi Feng's attributes, he would be able to wear it as long as he removed the curse and reached level 5.
If he were to collect the complete set, his attributes would literally soar to the sky. At that time, killing a level 5 shield warrior with a full body of bronze equipment would just be child's play. Just the thought of it excited Shi Feng.
Chapter 65. Shi Feng stored the Silver Moon helmet and continued moving deeper into the stone forest, searching for even more mountain beast fighters. Before, Shi Feng's attention was solely focused on moonstones and the horror of the Moonlight Forest.
He had completely forgotten that the Moonlight Forest was an unexplored map.
The treasures here were bountiful beyond comparison. It was just that, in Shi Feng's previous life, when he arrived at the Moonlight Forest, the place had long since been ransacked by those experts of first-rate and second-rate guilds, leaving only scraps behind.
Even then, Shi Feng still had to compete with the other guilds for them.
As for the average players, they didn't even have the chance to obtain those second-hand goods. By the time the average players arrived, who knew how many times the Moonlight Forest had been ransacked? However, these players still treated this place as a treasured land. One could imagine just how attractive the untouched Moonlight Forest was. Now that he was here, a step ahead, those first-rate and second-rate guilds would not have their turn. He would personally explore every corner of the Moonlight Forest and plunder everything, letting those guilds have a taste of getting second-hand goods.
2 hours later, Shi Feng finally arrived at the core of the stone forest. On his way here,
Shi Feng continuously killed mountain beast fighters, obtaining 3 more pieces of moonstone and a lot of money and materials.
By chance, Shi Feng had discovered a camp made by the mountain beast fighters. The camp was guarded by mountain beast fighters on all sides, and just a rough calculation told Shi Feng that there were over 40 of these monsters.
Moreover, there were several squads of mountain beast fighters patrolling near the camp. All in all, their numbers totaled past 100. The mountain beast fighters' camp was where they stored their treasures. Many guilds would often send teams consisting of 20 elite players to do a sweep on the various monster camps in the Moonlight Forest. Their harvests, every time they did so, were relatively good. Meanwhile, the mountain beast fighter camp in front of Shi Feng had never been raided before. There was definitely a great treasure in there.
Shi Feng might even be able to finish collecting the required moonstone and obtain many Tier 1 gemstones and equipment. However, every monster camp was not easy to deal with. If there were not a lot of rocks here, Shi Feng would not have paid any attention to the camp and would have most likely turned around and left already. But the rocks here were much more concentrated. The pathways surrounding the camp could, at most, fit 2 beast fighters, while the narrower places could only fit 1. It was definitely a good location to grind mountain beast fighters.
It would be a great pity if Shi Feng were to give up here.
Hence, Shi Feng picked a few small pieces of stone from the ground and stealthily closed in on the monster camp.
To prevent unexpected elements, Shi Feng decided to lure all the mountain beast fighters in one go. Otherwise, if he were to meet up with another group of mountain beast fighters during his kiting, he would definitely drop dead.
The important factor when luring these mountain beast fighters was finding a way to deal with their charge.
If that were not properly handled, Shi Feng would end up dead from the unlimited charges. He had personally been met with such a scenario before.
His strength at that time had clearly exceeded the monsters by a large leap, yet, the monsters charged at him one after another, placing him in a fainted state until he died. Although each mountain beast fighter only used charge once, hundreds of those monsters still meant hundreds of charges.
Trying to get them to charge all at the same time was extremely difficult.
With his current HP, Shi Feng would not last 2 hits under the mountain beast fighter's assault.
Hence, he absolutely cannot make a mistake. He needed to let all the mountain beast fighters simultaneously use charge at him, then avoid the follow-up damage. Only then would he have a chance to get rid of all these mountain beast fighters.
He needed to get a good grasp on the timing when all the mountain beast fighters rushed over.
Otherwise, instead of grinding monsters, he would be the one beaten to a pulp.
However, Shi Feng still held confidence in himself. After all, he was once a sword king and a first-rate expert.
The mountain beast fighter on guard used its furry hand to caress its beloved Niu Dao. It stood up high on the wall. Its blood-red eyes were constantly surveying its surroundings.
As long as it discovered an intruder, it would immediately charge over and let its blade enjoy a delicious meal.
Suddenly, a stone flew towards the mountain beast fighter, striking its head. When the beast fighter turned its head towards the direction the stone came from, it discovered a human a distance away. There was also a piece of stone in the human's hand.
Then, the beast fighter caressed its head that had been struck, suddenly entering a burning rage. A mere ant dared to throw a stone at it?
Hoo! 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 The roar from the mountain beast fighter alarmed the entire nest of monsters.
Mountain beast fighters came rushing out of the camp, one after another, all of them rushing to kill Shi Feng.
Meanwhile, Shi Feng continued throwing stones towards the other squads of mountain beast fighters.
In just a short moment, he had enraged all of those monsters, causing them to rush at him. Seeing over 100 mountain beast fighters running towards him, Shi Feng remained unhurried. He used Phantom Kill, allowing his doppelganger to run into the stone forest while he faced off with the monsters. Not to mention Shi Feng alone, even a 20-man elite team would not be able to handle over 100 mountain beast fighters at the same time. As the distance between Shi Feng and the mountain beast fighters shortened, Shi Feng's heart madly beat. His actions this time were insane. If there were even the tiniest mistake, only death awaited him. It had been a very long time since he had done something so exciting. His blood boiled, and his 5 senses grew even more sensitive. When the mountain beast fighters were no more than 30 yards from Shi Feng, a majority of the beasts were within the range to use charge. After a wrathful roar, a large majority of the mountain beast fighters simultaneously activated charge, with a few using it a moment later. Shi Feng immediately activated Defensive Blade. The skill could block 3 melee attacks. At the same time, Shi Feng gripped the Abyssal Blade and prepared to use parry. When the first wave of monsters arrived, although Shi Feng used parry, his body was still sent flying back. Following which, the second wave of monsters arrived, knocking Shi Feng into a fainted state, preventing him from moving. Seeing many mountain beast fighters raise their Niu Wei Dao, ready to strike, Shi Feng persevered and did not use any skills. Even when the blades slashed at him, Shi Feng still did not use the position swapping function of Phantom Kill. The defensive blade's damage immunity to 3 melee attacks instantly vanished. Afterward, Shi Feng was struck by the large blade. His HP instantly fell by half. Another strike was all it would take to finish him off now. At this time, the third wave of monsters had finally arrived. Shi Feng once more entered a fainted state, the blade of the second Niu Wei Dao just before his eyes. Substitute! Shi Feng shouted in his mind. Within an instant, Shi Feng and the doppelganger in the stone forest swapped places. After the blade slashed the doppelganger, the charge of the fourth and final wave of monsters arrived. The doppelganger was simply beaten to death. Meanwhile, Shi Feng, who was hiding in the stone forest, immediately took out a bottle of basic regeneration potion. He gulped it down in one go, a sweet and sour taste permeating throughout his mouth. Shi Feng's HP immediately recovered by 180 points, allowing him to barely be able to receive another attack. After the doppelganger died, the hatred of the mountain beast fighters was directed towards Shi Feng, who was currently in the stone forest. Immediately, they swarmed into the forest. Inside the forest was naturally Shi Feng's realm. He activated a speed scroll, facing off against the crazed mountain beast fighters who were crowding through the narrow path. Shi Feng used Thundering Flash. 3 streaks of lightning passed through the monsters, instantly taking over 100 HP from each of them. Within 10 minutes, all the lured mountain beast fighters were dead. At the same time, the remaining thread of experience Shi Feng needed to reach level 4 had been filled up. He finally reached level 4, catching up to the second-tier players. Shi Feng placed all 6 attribute points into strength. Currently, damage was his priority. After cleaning up the loot, Shi Feng actually obtained another piece of the Silvermoon set equipment, a Silvermoon leg guard. He had also obtained 7 pieces of moonstone, 2 Tier 1 gemstones, and all sorts of materials and common equipment. His harvest was relatively good. However, the most bountiful treasure was not these items. The main focus remained within the camp storehouse. After all, mountain beast fighters love to place their collected treasures in the camp storehouse. After cleaning up the drops, Shi Feng quickly ran into the camp. He wanted to see just what sort of treasure was awaiting him inside the storehouse. As expected for the first time, there really is a lot of treasure. From afar, Shi Feng could already see a few large treasure chests placed inside the storehouse. Amongst them, there was even a pitch-black mysterious iron treasure chest. Filled with excitement, Shi Feng was just about to enter the storehouse and take a look at the items within the treasure chests when he heard a loud roar. "Oh! Oh! Oh!" A mountain beast fighter, who was 3 sizes larger than its peers, rushed out from within the storehouse. The monster was covered in silver armor, and both its hands wielded a gigantic axe. Both its blood-red eyes stared tenaciously at Shi Feng. Chapter 66.
After this silver-armored mountain beast fighter rushed out, before Shi Feng could observe it, it had already thrown its incomparably heavy mountain-splitting axe. The axe flew like a rocket, reaching Shi Feng in an instant.
Everything happened too quickly, too suddenly.
If it were an average player in this situation, their head would have parted with their body before they could even react. However, Shi Feng was not an average player. He pulled out the abyssal blade with great speed, and the moment before the axe could hack at his neck, he parried this flying death axe.
The collision between the giant axe and the longsword did not produce any sparks, only the sound of an explosion.
Shi Feng's entire person was set flying back over 10 yards. Following which, the giant axe landed on the ground, deeply penetrating the earth.
Its landing caused the earth to start shaking. It could be seen just how heavy this giant axe was. Moreover, the silver-armored mountain beast fighter who could simply throw this giant axe was even more terrifying. Such strength did not exceed the normal mountain beast fighters by just a level.
After landing, Shi Feng immediately used observing eyes on the new monster.
Mountain Beast Warrior, Special Elite. Level 10. HP 3500-3500. Shi Feng immediately understood the Mountain Beast Warrior's strength after taking a look at these numbers. Without saying anything further, he turned tail and ran. What a joke!
Directly battling against a level 10 Special Elite was literally suicide. When meeting a Special Elite in the Moonlight Forest, players didn't have to consider whether or not they could kill it, rather whether or not they could run away.
The Mountain Beast Warrior was stronger than the Mountain Beast Fighter by more than a notch.
Not only regarding strength, but its speed and flexibility were also greatly increased.
It would not be easily toyed with like the Mountain Beast Fighters.
If Shi Feng did not use parry to defend against the axe, then, even if he had blocked the attack with the abyssal blade, he would still end up dead. The gap between their strength was just too huge.
Although Shi Feng wished to escape, the Mountain Beast Warrior had no plans to let this intruder go. It used charge to rush at Shi Feng, picking up its giant axe along the way.
The way it picked up the weapon was as if it were picking up a leaf, effortless. Seeing that the Mountain Beast Warrior had used charge, Shi Feng knew he could not shake it off.
He turned his body around in midair, pointing his sword at the Mountain Beast Warrior. Abyssal Bind. Within an instant, the Mountain Beast Warrior who was swiftly rushing at Shi Feng was restricted by pitch-black chains. It could not move even a muscle, only helplessly stare at Shi Feng. Shi Feng did not dare stay any longer. He activated Windwalk, leaving the campsite at high speed and fleeing into the stone forest. With the added speed from Windwalk, the Mountain Beast Warrior had no chance of catching up to him. About 20 seconds later, finally broke away from it. Shi Feng turned his head around to take a look, discovering the Mountain Beast Warrior already turning around and heading back to its camp. Thereupon, Shi Feng let out a breath of relief. If it had continued chasing, Shi Feng's Windwalk would have timed out. His luck was truly rotten. There was actually a Special Elite inside the campsite. In his previous life, there were no monster camps that were guarded by a Special Elite. There would only be the occasional normal elite monster. Shi Feng felt unfortunate for losing the mysterious iron treasure chest. Currently, Blackie's communication arrived. Brother Feng, all of our members have reached level 4. Moreover, we obtained a lot of ore, equipment, and skill books. Everyone has learned quite a few skills, and our strength has greatly increased. Unfortunately, our leveling speed from grinding gnomes has greatly decreased. When will you be coming over to carry us through the hell mode of the Deathly Forest? Our fighting spirits are all sky high right now, and we're just waiting for your command, Blackie laughingly said. All of you are level 4? Shi Feng entered a deep thought, trying to think of the next task for Blackie and the others to do. After some thought, Shi Feng thought of a good location. Blackie, you guys should stop grinding gnomes and return to town to tidy up your bags.
Go to the level 5 area, the Red Leaf Forest. Follow this marker and grind forest wolves. The wolf meat and wolf skins are good stuff. The more you grind, the better, as all the drops can be sold, fattening your wallets. With Blackie and the others' current potential, it would be very easy to grind forest wolves. This was especially true with Blackie's equipment. The monster's 400 HP would be gone with just 3 dark arrows. Moreover, the location Xuanhuan gave to Blackie was a large wolf den. The respawn rate there was very quick, and there was also higher ground for Blackie and the others to occupy. As long as Cola and Lonely Snow firmly blocked the pathway up the slope, preventing even a single wolf from moving past them, the ranged members could easily deal damage. Moreover, Beasts, 1, were afraid of fire, taking additional damage from it. A single hell flame could wipe out the entire pack of wolves. Their leveling speed would increase by at least 60% to 70%. Great! We're bored out of our minds from constantly grinding gnomes. We'll go immediately after we tidy up our bags, Blackie excitedly confirmed. More and more players started going to their location to grind gnomes now. In addition to them being level 4, their leveling efficiency was constantly decreasing. They were naturally excited to have a new location to grind. Brothers, pack up. We won't have to compete with them anymore. Let's go play in a new location, Blackie said to the others after cutting off the call. Everyone stopped fighting over monsters with the other players when they heard Blackie say so. They cheerfully left this place with Blackie. When the elite parties saw Blackie and the others leaving, their faces revealed expressions of joy. There would be fewer people competing over this precious leveling ground now. They inwardly sneered at the foolishness of Blackie's party. Currently, players filled the entirety of Dark Moon Valley. How could the leveling speed at the other locations be faster than here? Elsewhere, just when Xuanhuan was ready to look for other mountain beast fighters, he noticed a problem from the conversation with Blackie. It was definitely not possible for him to kill the mountain beast warrior by himself, but he could still escape. However, it was not necessary for him to kill the mountain beast warrior to obtain the mysterious iron treasure chest. As long as one person lured the mountain beast warrior, another person could go and open the treasure chest. Thinking up to this point, Xuanhuan looked at the abyssal blade with a faint smile. As expected, Phantom Kill was a very powerful skill. Following which, Xuanhuan once more returned to the mountain beast camp. He activated Phantom Kill, his doppelganger appearing before him. The doppelganger possessed all of Xuanhuan's skills. It was sufficient to hold off the mountain beast warrior for more than 20 seconds. With these 20 seconds, Xuanhuan could activate the treasure chest and take away all the items. Xuanhuan took out a speed scroll and polymorph scroll, giving them to the doppelganger. The polymorph scroll could polymorph monsters below level 15 into a sheep for 4 seconds. However, the effective duration on a special elite would be greatly decreased. Although, it was enough as long as it could disrupt the mountain beast warrior's charge. After activating the speed scroll, the doppelganger immediately went to the storehouse to lure the mountain beast warrior. As expected, the scene from before replayed itself, and the doppelganger used parry to block the flying death axe. It subsequently used charge at the doppelganger. The doppelganger immediately used the polymorph scroll, instantly turning the mountain beast warrior into a little white sheep. The mountain beast warrior reverted to its original form in less than a second. It then chased after the doppelganger, entering deep into the stone forest. The mountain beast warrior's speed was slightly faster than the doppelganger, but the doppelganger activated Windwalk, its speed and the distance between them increasing once more. A short distance away, Xuanhuan watched as the mountain beast warrior departed from the campsite. He let out a small chuckle, similarly activating Windwalk as he rushed into the storehouse. This time, there were no monsters present to interrupt him when he entered the storehouse. Xuanhuan first went up to the mysterious iron treasure chest, opening it. The treasure chest needed time to be opened. 1 second. 2 seconds. The loading bar for the treasure chest was still going, causing Shi Feng to become slightly nervous. The time his doppelganger could delay was limited.
Aside from the mysterious iron treasure chest, there was still one more bronze treasure chest and 3 common treasure chests.
Time was of the essence.
As long as he opened a treasure chest now, it would not be possible to lure the tiger out of the mountain the next time around. After all, special elites possess their own intelligence.
Hurry, hurry. Shi Feng impatiently looked at the loading bar. 10 seconds later, the mysterious iron treasure chest opened.
At the same time, a wrathful roar came from the stone forest. It would seem that Shi Feng's actions had been discovered.
Looking through the doppelganger's vision, Shi Feng could see that the mountain beast warrior no longer paid the doppelganger any attention.
Instead, it ran back towards the camp's storehouse. Without pause, Shi Feng immediately stored all the items in the treasure chest into his bag.
He then continued to open the bronze chest. The bronze treasure chest's loading bar started to move slowly.
To Shi Feng, every second right now was crawling by.
Meanwhile, the sound of the mountain beast warrior's bellow was getting closer and closer. 1. Beasts, a general category for monsters. Chapter 67. The loading bar for the treasure chest was currently only halfway done. Hearing the roar getting closer and closer, Shi Feng became extremely anxious. Hurry! Hurry!
The mountain beast warrior had already entered the camp, yet the loading bar was still a hair's breadth away from full.
When the mountain beast warrior saw Shi Feng opening the treasure chest, its large pair of eyes turned crimson red. It aimed its giant axe at Shi Feng, throwing it at him.
It could not help but wish for Shi Feng to go to hell immediately.
At this moment, the bronze treasure chest opened.
Without giving the flying axe even a single glance, Shi Feng immediately activated Defensive Blade, blocking the attack from the flying death axe. Following which, his 2 hands swiftly stretched into the treasure chest, taking the items within and cramping them into his bag with lightning speed.
When Shi Feng finished storing all of the items from the treasure chest, the mountain beast warrior also arrived before him. It picked up the fallen axe with both of its hands, raising it up high as it prepared to murder.
Having no plans to stay, Shi Feng turned and ran.
Boom!
The earth split when the axe landed, leaving behind a scar and causing crushed stones to go flying. However, Shi Feng was already 5 yards away by the time the axe landed.
He was running directly to the outside of the camp.
Seeing that its attack missed, the mountain beast warrior turned to face Shi Feng and used charge. It did not intend to give Shi Feng any chance to escape.
On the other hand, Shi Feng did not have any skills to deal with the mountain beast warrior who was charging at him.
He allowed the mountain beast warrior to send him into a fainted state, his body then receiving a slash from its axe.
In an instant, the attack sent him flying over 10 yards away.
The attack from the mountain beast warrior could cause even a level 5 shield warrior to harbor a grudge, yet Shi Feng acted as if it was nobody's business as he stood and started running out of the camp once more. Now, Defensive Blade could only prevent Shi Feng from receiving damage from a melee attack one more time.
Although only one chance remained, there was more than a 10-yard distance between Shi Feng and the mountain beast warrior. As long as Shi Feng ran into the stone forest, he would be a lot safer. However, an unexpected situation occurred. The mountain beast warrior that should have used charge only once used it a second time, sending Shi Feng into a fainted state once more. It raised its giant axe, slashing it again at Shi Feng's body. Shi Feng was sent flying for over 10 yards again. This time it immediately threw him out of the camp. He was just a short distance away from the stone forest now. However, Shi Feng's expression became much more serious. The current mountain beast warrior was completely different from before. Previously, it only used charge once. Now, it used charge twice. That meant that there was a possibility for a third or fourth charge, maybe even more.
That meant, as long as the distance between Shi Feng and the Mountain Beast Warrior exceeded 8 yards, the Mountain Beast Warrior would use charge.
This was definitely not good news.
Just as expected, the moment Shi Feng stepped out of the 8-yard range, the Mountain Beast Warrior used charge once again. If Shi Feng were to be hit once more, he would definitely die.
He was not willing to die just yet.
Shi Feng took out a polymorph scroll, immediately turning the Mountain Beast Warrior that was charging at him into a sheep.
Although it was polymorphed only for a second, just 1 second was enough for Shi Feng to run a long distance away.
As long as Shi Feng could run out of the 30-yard range, it would be too far for the Mountain Beast Warrior to use charge. Just after running 15 yards away, the Mountain Beast Warrior recovered.
Shi Feng immediately spun around and cast Abyssal Bind.
He then activated Gravity Liberation, his speed soaring greatly. The 3 seconds binding this time allowed Shi Feng to easily run past the 30-yard range, entering the stone forest. Currently, some of the Mountain Beast fighters in the stone forest had already respawned, and by coincidence, one of them was blocking the path ahead of Shi Feng. Being struck by inspiration, Shi Feng quickly took the initiative.
Windblade.
Before the Mountain Beast fighter could react, Shi Feng rushed to its front and brushed past it. Shi Feng then took out another polymorph scroll, turning the Mountain Beast fighter into a sheep.
With the speed increase from Windblade, Shi Feng easily shook off the Mountain Beast Warrior that was stubbornly chasing after him, escaping it quickly. After finding a safe location, Shi Feng sat down to rest as he slowly looked through the items in his bag. Shi Feng went from clueless to shocked.
He had to admit that ransacking the camp was extremely profitable. Just this one time was enough to make up for his hours of hard work.
He instantly collected all of the moonstone he needed, completing his quest. The next thing he needed to do was to leave the Moonlight Forest and dispel the curse. Amongst these treasures, aside from the large amount of moonstone, there were also 7 Tier 1 gemstones, 3 pieces of bronze equipment, and a single bronze-colored mysterious iron ring. Amongst the 3 pieces of bronze equipment, there was a silver moon arm guard. With it, Shi Feng now had 3 out of 5 pieces of the silver moon set equipment. As long as he put in more effort, he might be able to truly collect a complete set. However, Shi Feng did not have that much time. The earlier he removed the curse, the earlier he could regain his strength and level up quickly. He still had too many things to do, and he could not do any of them without levels.
Aside from the silver moon arm guard attracting Shi Feng's attention, the mysterious iron ring also gave him tremendous joy.
Ring of Nothingness, Mysterious Iron Ranked Ring. Equipment requirement, Intelligence 10. Strength +1, Agility +1, Intelligence +2.
Additional ability, Shadow of Nothingness, allows the user to enter a state of nothingness. The user will not be able to see other players, while other players will not be able to see the user.
Duration of 1 minute. Cooldown, 5 minutes. Only usable in a non-combative state.
Rings such as this, which possessed an additional ability, were extremely rare.
It was as rare as the Ring of Gravity, possessing many uses. In his previous life, Shi Feng had done a lot of research on the Moonlight Forest. Including the information found on the internet, he knew the spawn locations of many treasure chests.
Originally, he planned to only go to a few locations that were easy to obtain treasure chests before leaving the Moonlight Forest. Now that he had the Ring of Nothingness, his train of thought widened, and the number of treasure chests that he could obtain greatly increased. The Moonlight Forest was still a virgin land, and treasures could be found everywhere. It was especially true for treasure chests that had been opened for the first time. The items inside were the best. Since he could easily obtain these treasures, would it matter if he wasted a little more time? Following which, Shi Feng put on the Ring of Nothingness. He then opened the map for the Moonlight Forest, confirming his current position. There was a bronze treasure chest not far from his location. So, he kept the map and advanced towards the treasure chest.
After walking for over 10 minutes, he arrived at ruins of a shrine. The ruins were surrounded by barbaric beastmen who were guarding it, with several elite beastmen in the midst as well.
Meanwhile, the treasure chest was located inside the collapsed shrine.
However, without a team of 20 elite players, it was impossible to clear off all the barbaric beastmen.
Although he could not beat the barbaric beastmen, Shi Feng had other methods to get to the treasure chest.
Shi Feng immediately called out his doppelganger, allowing it to move to a distance away and find a safe location.
Meanwhile, Shi Feng himself moved closer to the temple.
While staying outside the detection range of the barbaric beastmen, Shi Feng activated Shadow of Nothingness and entered a state of nothingness.
He then ran towards the inside of the shrine with high speed.
After entering a state of nothingness, Shi Feng could no longer see those barbaric beastmen, and the same went for the barbaric beastmen who could no longer see Shi Feng.
In such a way, Shi Feng soundlessly entered the heavily guarded shrine. There were still several barbaric beastmen guarding inside the shrine. They were less than 20 yards away from the bronze treasure chest.
Meanwhile, Shi Feng unhurriedly opened the treasure chest. When opening the treasure chest, Shi Feng's state of nothingness did not fade, so the channeling process finished without a hitch. However, the moment the treasure chest was opened, just after Shi Feng's hand stretched into it, his state of nothingness vanished.
Within an instant, the 5 barbaric beastmen inside the temple noticed Shi Feng.
Suddenly entering a rage, they waved their stone hammers as they rushed towards him.
Shi Feng activated Defensive Blade without hurry, storing the items in the treasure chest in his bag.
Before the barbaric beastmen could break off the 3 layers of protection, Shi Feng had taken all the items from the treasure chest. He then swapped places with his doppelganger, his original body arriving at a very safe location.
Shi Feng leisurely departed from the ruins, heading towards the location of the next treasure chest. Moonlight Forest was very large.
With unyielding perseverance, Shi Feng spent more than 10 hours before finally clearing the entirety of the Moonlight Forest. He harvested a total of 3 mysterious iron treasure chests, 22 bronze treasure chests, and 56 common treasure chests.
His harvest was extremely invigorating.
His entire bag was clogged full, and he was even forced to throw away several pieces of common equipment that had poor attributes.
When he was arranging all these items, a beeping noise came from the system. Shi Feng looked at the notification, seeing that it was the alarm that he previously set.
It notified him that morning had arrived, and he needed to log off and rest.
In consideration of his body, Shi Feng looked for a safe location before logging off.
Chapter 68. Early morning, a layer of fog still covered the outer layer of the window.
Dark clouds densely covered the sky outside, and there were signs of rain falling soon. The air quality here is getting worse by the day.
After I earn enough money, I definitely have to move out of this broken district and move to a better house in the city. After sitting up, Shi Feng took a look out his window.
Following which, he flexed his body and got down from his bed. He then went through 20 sets of workout motions before going to his cramped bathroom to wash up. Shi Feng grabbed his phone from the table once he finished tidying himself up. He started by checking the remaining money in his bank account. Constantly eating instant noodles was bad for his body. Moreover, the nutrients provided were definitely not enough to supplement his method of training.
He had obtained the membership card and coupons for Big Dipper after much difficulty. Yet, he discovered that he still needed to wait for 5 days before he could use them. This caused him to be slightly depressed.
Now, his only hope was on the sales of the God's Domain game currency. Previously, Shi Feng had registered 3 gold coins at the virtual trade center. If there were someone who bought them, then the credits earned would automatically be sent to his bank account. However, the trade center had a 3-hour transaction delay. Moreover, Shi Feng did not turn on the notifications for his trade account.
So, even if the transaction had already been done, he did not know how much had been transferred to his account.
He could only use his old modeled phone to check his bank account. Shi Feng currently did not possess the money to purchase the latest quantum watch, One. Otherwise, a lot of matters could be easily resolved using the quantum watch. Even credit card payments could be done through the quantum watch. Moreover, all shops that sold items supported payment using the quantum watch, as it was both safe and fast. In a short moment, Shi Feng logged into his bank account using his handphone, checking the amount of money he had remaining. If there were enough credits, he would go and have a good meal. The last time he remembered having meat was when he was still in his 3rd year of university. Now, he was in his 4th year and would be graduating soon. Previously, he had retrieved all of his money from his bank account to buy instant noodles. His current balance should not be more than 1 credit. After selling for an entire night, there should be some people who would purchase some of his game currency. It was especially true for the guilds in White River City. Shi Feng did not believe those guilds could amass funds that quickly. Even if they were to sign a contract with money farming teams or have their money farming teams, it was absolutely impossible for them to purchase that much equipment in such a short period. More or less, they should have purchased some game currency. They actually bought quite a lot. I guess I won't have to fuss over food for a few days. Shi Feng smiled slightly when he saw that there were over 1,700 credits in his bank account. However, the trade tax was truly high. He sold a total of 30 silver coins which were worth 1,800 credits, but 100 of those credits went to taxes. The amount was truly sinister. In any case, Shi Feng now had some money, and it was double the amount of living expenses he would have each month. It was enough for him to eat properly for quite some time. If all 3 gold coins sold, then that would amount to 18,000 credits. Shi Feng would then have the money to buy 2 virtual gaming helmets. The only worry he had right now was whether or not all 3 gold coins would sell. After some consideration, Shi Feng decided that he definitely must make these guilds and players spend more money during this period. Otherwise, if they were to make business deals in the game, they would easily be able to solve their problem with money. At that time, they would not have to purchase game currency from the virtual trade center. Subsequently, Shi Feng left his rented apartment. He made a trip to the bank, withdrawing all of his money. Now that he had some money, Shi Feng went to the nutrition center and bought 3 bottles of C-rank nutrient fluids. They were enough to last him for up to 9 days. When the beautiful saleswoman saw that Shi Feng had bought 3 bottles without even blinking, she could not help but have delightful thoughts. Taking the initiative, she asked, "Are you free this afternoon, handsome? How about we go to Yulin Square to have a drink?" My treat. Yulin Square was a nearby well-known romantic location, and many youths, both males and females, loved going there. Looking at the beautiful saleswoman's graceful body and lust-filled eyes, she was much better than the gorgeously dressed girls in his class. However, Shi Feng only gave her a calm smile. How could he not know what her thoughts were? He tactfully rejected her and turned around to leave. Shi Feng's reaction caused the beautiful saleswoman to feel slightly unfortunate. A large catch had run away just like that. Was she not beautiful? Was her body lacking? Nutrient fluids were the pinnacle products of the new age. Not only could they slow down aging, but they could also discreetly mend the injuries that could not be detected, regenerate body cells, develop the brain cells, and many more astonishing impacts. These items have already become must-haves for athletes and martial artists. However, they were very expensive, so the common folk could only occasionally buy a bottle to drink. After all, a month's salary was only so much. It was impossible for them to afford a bottle every 3 days. Only the wealthy were able to treat these nutrient fluids as drinks, constantly transforming their bodies. Hundreds of years ago, very rarely would the children of wealthy families be ugly. Females would normally be beauties, while males would normally be handsome men. However, with the nutrient fluids in this current age, beautiful women and handsome men could be commonly seen throughout the streets. A bottle of C-rank nutrient fluid cost 400 credits. A bottle of B-rank nutrient fluid cost 1,000 credits. A bottle of A-rank nutrient fluid cost 10,000 credits. As for the best S-rank nutrient fluids, those were items that could not be bought by common folk even if they wanted to. These nutrient fluids were only sold to the inner circles of society. In his previous life, Shi Feng was fortunate enough to buy one because of his status as a core member of Shadow. The S-rank nutrient fluid was extremely expensive, costing 1,000,000 credits per bottle. However, its effects were similarly astonishing. A-rank nutrient fluids were far from being comparable to it. Although S-rank nutrient fluids were very expensive, there were plenty of wealthy people in the world. The ones who could afford to buy it would not trouble themselves over such an amount of money. After all, who wouldn't want to trade money for their own youth? It was truly hard to imagine. The dream of humanity hundreds of years ago had now become a reality. The body was a needed asset to make a revolution. If Shi Feng wanted to improve his skills in God's domain and stand at the very top of the game, then a strong body and nimble mind were indispensable. Hence, Shi Feng would not make the same mistake in this aspect as he did in his previous life. Following which, Shi Feng went to a gourmet restaurant. He spent 100 credits purchasing 2 sets of nutrient set meals. One was for him to eat right now and another as takeaway for his lunch. After eating, Shi Feng made a trip to a normal workout center. After spending 60 credits, he trained for 4 hours before returning home. In the evening, around 7 p.m., Shi Feng drank a bottle of nutrient fluid and laid on the bed. He activated the gaming helmet and connected to God's domain. After logging in, Shi Feng started arranging the items he obtained. When he was done arranging the items, Shi Feng started feeling emotional. It was no wonder the Moonlight Forest was a land of treasures. Just the various Tier 1 gemstones he obtained alone amounted to over 300 pieces. There were also tens of skill books, dozens of pieces of bronze equipment, 5 pieces of mysterious iron equipment, over 50 card sets, more than 20 recipes for lifestyle jobs, over 30 Tier 1 magic scrolls, and 4 Tier 2 magic scrolls. The magic scrolls from treasure chests were much better than those sold in the magic shop. This was because the various scrolls in the magic shop did not even reach the standard of Tier 1. Meanwhile, Tier 2 magic scrolls were much more precious. Every piece would have a great purpose, and there would be nobody willing to sell it. As for the thing that brought Shi Feng the most joy, he finished collecting the Silvermoon set equipment. In addition, he also collected a complete set of Black Blood set equipment meant for Shield Warriors and Guardian Knights. The Black Blood set equipment's value far exceeded that of the Silvermoon set equipment. It was one of the best set equipment for Shield Warriors and Guardian Knights that were below level 10. If Kola were to equip this set at level 6 or level 7, then Hell Mode dungeons below level 10 would no longer be a problem. With so many good items, Shi Feng already had a solid base for forming a 20-man team. The only concerns remaining would be recruiting members and their skills. After finished arranging his bag and confirming that there were no more profits to be gained from the Moonlight Forest, Shi Feng activated the teleportation magic orb, leaving the Moonlight Forest. 1. Quantum Watch. Something like a wristwatch version of a quantum computer. Chapter 69. In the real world, the sky slowly darkened as the sun went under the mountain. On the other hand, players in God's domain were welcoming the rise of the morning sun. Red Leaf Town was currently brightly lit as if it were daytime. In the trade area, players could be found everywhere as they pushed their way through the streets. Compared to yesterday, there were a lot more players currently in Red Leaf Town, and a lot of them were new players who were level 0. After being officially active for 2 days, many people started to notice the difference between God's domain and other virtual reality games. The battling alone was extremely attractive, not to mention other sources of entertainment. The monsters in God's domain improved with the increase in levels, making the battles seem increasingly real. It was no longer the usual simple bouts where players and monsters would take turns fighting each other. The battles in God's domain were more similar to the fighting competitions in real life. This was the age where the world's entire population would exercise. In the real world, people had already reached a level of obsession in regards to fighting competitions, making such competitions extremely popular. Everyone wished for a battle in which they could fight to their heart's content, and even more so when exchanging blows with an expert. They wanted to chase after the intense feeling of excitement that made one's blood boil. It was an addicting feeling that was impossible to give up. Meanwhile, God's domain had all of this, and there were no dangers to a person's life. Moreover, God's domain contained great adventures that were both fascinating and thrilling. There were also countless unknowns waiting to be discovered and explored. Time in the game was also double that of real life. Many players wished they could stay inside God's domain for the rest of their lives, living their second life within the game. It was also because of this reason that many players were attracted to God's domain. Many virtual gaming companies, after seeing this irreversible situation, declared bankruptcy, one after another, as they prepared to invest in God's domain. Such a situation also caused some unwilling veteran gamers to enter God's domain, greatly increasing the number of players. Just after returning to Red Leaf Town, Xuanhuan received a bunch of system notifications. Almost all of them were sales notifications from the auction house. Within an instant, the money Xuanhuan possessed increased to over 500 silver coins or 5 gold coins. Xuanhuan still remembered having recently registering 3 gold coins at the virtual trade center. After less than a day's worth of effort, he now possessed an additional 5 gold coins. Those guilds obtained all this money after much difficulty, yet they all contributed to him in the end. Currently, there might not be another player in White River City who was wealthier than he was. The guild leaders of first-rate guilds were no exception. However, this was only the tip of the iceberg. The real money-making moment was just starting. Xuanhuan first stored all the items that were in his bag into his warehouse. He was not planning on selling them but instead, kept them for future use. After all, items such as gemstones and skill books were hard currencies, their prices would never depreciate. On the contrary, it was equipment that would depreciate along with the increase in player levels. Soon afterward, Xuanhuan started doing his old business again. Nighttime was the best period for doing business. Seeing that the sun was soon to rise, Xuanhuan set aside his quest for now and set up a street stall, purchasing stones, magic essences, hard stones, and card sets. Due to previous similar occurrences, many players would deliberately stay here and await Xuanhuan's arrival. Now, just a casual shout from Xuanhuan was enough to cause a crowd of players to come running towards him. In such a way, Xuanhuan bought materials while listening to the conversations of players nearby. The Assassin's Alliance has obtained great glory this time. They completed the insurrection of the Little Fishmen quest and earned a lot of guild reputation. It won't be long before the Assassin's Alliance will become a level 2 guild. What's the big deal? I've heard that a major event occurred in the capital city. The guild leader of a first-rate guild, Star River Federation, completed a major quest and has already become a first-class citizen. Just a little more and he will become part of the nobility. When he obtains the status of a noble, what would a little guild reputation matter? After becoming a noble, he could go to the army camp and city hall to ask for guild quests. Star River Federation could catch up and surpass the Assassin's Alliance at any time. Including the various privileges available to nobles, their accumulated advantage is huge. Just the current Star River Federation was enough to suppress Ouroboros. When the fight for the capital city begins, the city would most likely fall into the hands of the Star River Federation. Those are just small matters. Now, the most popular matter would have to be the showdown between that Black Flame Forger and Hammer Trading. Who doesn't know about that? Right now, there is most likely not a single person in the White River City area that doesn't know of it. However, I never truly imagined that the victor would be so quickly determined.
Even further, I never thought that the final winner would be hammer trading. Hee hee. Thankfully I was quick-witted and borrowed some money to buy a glimmer chestplate. Many people are currently buying them at high prices. I could easily earn 3 silver coins as long as I resell the one I have. Exactly.
Regardless of attributes or design, the glimmer chestplate is way better, so its cost must be extremely high.
It only sold for such a low price because of the competition with hammer trading.
Black Flame must have lost that battle after constantly losing money.
Unfortunately, he is not selling even a single piece of the equipment right now. Otherwise, I would definitely borrow money to buy one.
Right now, hammer trading's fame has exploded.
On the forums, he had even started proudly scolding the mysterious forger as incompetent, calling the mysterious forger a son of a bitch for not daring to compete with him. To increase their fame and influence, those first-rate guilds will certainly invite him.
Hammer trading must already be discussing contract terms with them right now. The chief forger of a first-rate guild, people would drool just thinking about such a position. However, we can only look on in envy because we don't have a forging design for bronze equipment.
If I had such an item, even if I were to go bankrupt, I would definitely compete with hammer trading to the end.
When I get the chief position of a first-rate guild, my future will be filled with fame and fortune. When Shi Feng heard their conversation, his brows slightly wrinkled.
He then called up the official forum. Sure enough, hammer trading was ridiculing him with all sorts of insults.
Son of a bitch, weren't you so awesome? Why have you turned into a coward?
Let's continue competing if you have the ability. See how I'll flatten a black-hearted forger like you. Looking at hammer trading's inferior shenanigans, Shi Feng smiled calmly. He could not help but admire hammer trading.
To become famous, he turned into a lunatic that was willing to use any means. Just like in Shi Feng's previous life, to join world dominators and become their chief forger, hammer trading was willing to sell out their entire guild. After he finished purchasing the materials, Shi Feng headed towards the auction house. After all the clamor hammer trading made, the glimmer chestplate had thoroughly become famous.
Shi Feng could now start his next money-making operation.
In the current stage of the game, a majority of the average players were already level 3, while many veterans were level 4 and experts were level 5. The average player could not afford a glimmer chestplate, whereas veterans would have to borrow some money to purchase a piece for themselves. As for experts, the usage of the glimmer chestplate was not that great. There was a lot of equipment inside level 5 dungeons that was far better than the glimmer chestplate. That meant that the glimmer chestplate could no longer earn Shi Feng a lot of money. After all, the major buyers of the equipment were mostly those guilds. Maybe there were some nouveau riches who could afford to buy one to toy around with, but they were in the extreme minorities amongst the average players. Shi Feng walked into the auction house, into the large hall that was packed with people. Without a better option, Shi Feng looked for a corner and silently brought up the display screen of the auction house.
He then placed 20 copies of the forging design for the glimmer chestplate on auction.
The base price for each forging design was set at 30 silver coins, and they would be sold one by one at intervals of half an hour. It was not because Shi Feng did not wish to sell them in bulk, but because doing so would result in their price staying low.
Only through hunger marketing would he be able to reap the greatest profit. Let those guilds slowly fight amongst themselves.
Afterwards, Shi Feng cleaned out the accumulated hard stones and card sets from the auction house. He then left the auction house and headed towards the library.
Chapter 70. Karuk Fields. This was the playground for the level 6 grassland lion cubs.
At this stage of the game, there were very few players who would come here to grind and level up.
That was because the level here was slightly higher. Moreover, the monsters were numerous and concentrated, making them hard to kill.
These grassland lion cubs hunted in groups of 3 to 5. Sometimes, they would even be followed by a fully grown elite grassland lion, making them very hard to deal with. However, there was currently a 6-man party on these fields, fighting a group of lions. A girl dressed in water blue armor brandished her greatsword, directly confronting an elite grassland lion. Not only did she easily evade the grassland lion's sharp claws, she even took the chance to attack and deal damage. Her valiant appearance could captivate even women. This girl was the snow goddess, Gentle Snow. She had already reached level 5, and she wore the level 4 bronze set equipment, Azure Scar. In her hands, she held the mysterious iron-ranked Conqueror sword. Compared to before, her current strength had greatly increased. Also, there was also a shield warrior who was not any weaker, tanking 4 grassland lion cubs at once. The party's healer, Xuanhuan, chanted a prayer, her delicate hands tracing divine texts in mid-air. Xuanhuan took care of the shield warrior while also healing Gentle Snow, allowing both their HPs to remain above the safety line. The Flame Witch, Zhao Yueru, was also wearing the level 4 fantasy flame set equipment. Large fireballs constantly shot out from her hand, causing a frightening amount of damage to appear above the grassland lion's head. Within moments, they massacred the group of elite-led lions. Gentle Snow picked up the loot from the grassland lion, discovering that it was a skill book. No equipment dropped. She then looked towards Xuanhuan, saying, "Xuanhuan, it's your sacred light shield. Learn it quickly. After some rest, we will continue looking for another grassland lion. We absolutely must get the revival skill." Great! With this skill, healing won't be so intense anymore, Xuanhuan happily said as she received the skill. Currently resting, Zhao Yueru suddenly asked in a curious tone, "Snow, that hammer trading has already garnered a huge amount of fame. We should at least send a person to recruit him. We can still increase our guild's fame if we're successful. Moreover, his forging skills are not bad. It would be unfortunate if we were to let some other guild snatch him away." No need. It won't be long before level 3 bronze equipment is of little value. He only knows how to forge level 3 bronze equipment and doesn't possess any forging designs for higher level equipment. Why should we spend a large sum of money fighting over him? We would just lose out on earning a little money. Moreover, we don't even know when our guild would be able to obtain a forging design for high-leveled bronze equipment. What would we need him for? Gentle Snow shook her head. She held no particular interests towards a person like hammer trading. Instead, she said, "On the contrary, I'm more interested in the Black Flame Forger, especially the forger's actions. I cannot see through his intentions. If he wanted to attract the attention of first-rate guilds and stand out, then he has no reason to hide his name. There would be plenty of large guilds contacting him. However, he has hidden his name, preventing anybody from contacting him. That means that he does not wish for others to know of his identity. Yet, he still competed with hammer trading, lowering the price for his equipment and letting everyone know of him once more. Now that he has entered our eyes, at the most heated moment, he suddenly withdraws from the competition and fades out of our sight once more. He has continuously brought us 3 different kinds of forged equipment. Being able to obtain that many forging designs for bronze equipment shows that he has great strength. Yet, why would he suddenly withdraw? What is this Black Flame Forger's goal? Or did he withdraw because he already achieved his goal? Until now, I still don't know what that Black Flame Forger is trying to do. He is filled with mystery in all aspects. Snow, how about I have someone research this forger? Hearing you say so, even I want to see what kind of person he is. After hearing Gentle Snow's analysis, realization struck Zhao Yueru. She suddenly grew an interest towards this Black Flame Forger. She also felt this person was not simple. Her interest towards the Black Flame Forger's identity overflowed. Just the thought of being able to expose this person's identity made her feel slightly excited. Meanwhile, inside an intermediate forging room on the 2nd floor of the Forging Association. Everyone, how goes your consideration? Hammer Trading sat cross-legged, casually asking as he looked at the representatives of the first-rate guilds with narrowed eyes. However, the conditions set out by Hammer Trading caused these first-rate guilds to go silent. Hammer Trading's conditions were too harsh. Just the villa he wanted in the city he lived in and the annual salary of 5 million credits would cause these guilds to take a step back, not to mention that he wanted all resources to be prioritized to him. Such treatment was most likely only enjoyed by the guild leader and the vice leader.
Meanwhile, Hammer Trading wanted the same treatment as them. Then, didn't that mean he would be on equal footings with the guild leader and vice leader?
You guys have to think through this clearly.
It isn't easy for me to earn such a great reputation. As long as I join your guild, your popularity will immediately soar and surpass the other guilds.
You won't have a shortage of bronze equipment and will be able to earn a large sum of money because of my forging techniques.
The price I've given shouldn't be considered much,
Hammer Trading said with a smile.
His face held an expression that said, if you don't recruit me, there will be others who will.
Don't regret it when that time comes. Hammer Trading had these first-rate guilds eating out of the palm of his hand.
Right now, each of these first-rate guilds wanted to be a step ahead of the others.
If so, they would be able to have a larger advantage in taking hold of a city. The wealth that came with possessing control over a virtual city was not something a mere 5 million credits and a villa could compare to. Hammer Trading's asking price could be considered low.
Looking at the representatives of these first-rate guilds, although their expressions held hesitation, their eyes flashed with the conviction of recruiting him.
Hammer Trading suddenly felt his action of investing all of his possessions into the competition this time was truly wise.
If he hadn't steeled his heart to borrow money from loan sharks at the last second, he might have actually lost to the Black Flame Forger. Fortunately, the Black Flame Forger bit the dust a step earlier than he did, allowing him to taste the final fruit of victory.
Just as Hammer Trading was being pleased with himself, the expressions of the numerous representatives around the conference table suddenly changed.
Each and every one of them revealed expressions of shock and ecstasy.
Brother Hammer Trading, I am truly sorry, but our guild has decided to withdraw from this competition and yield to the other guilds.
Our guild won't be joining anymore, and I still have matters to attend to, so I'll be leaving, Star River Federation's representative suddenly said.
This price is just too high.
Our guild can only give up as well. We can only hope to cooperate with you in the future. Ellipsis. For a moment, all the guild representatives started leaving. Moreover, every one of them seemed to be in a hurry.
It was as if they could not help but to immediately run to some other place, not wanting to waste even a little time.
What do you all mean?
Not negotiating anymore?
You guys better not regret it. I'm a forger that can craft bronze equipment. I won't join in the future, even if you all beg me. Is being able to forge bronze equipment amazing? Right now, the auction house is selling forging designs for bronze equipment. With the forging design, we can nurture our own forgers.
We don't need to spend as much as 5 million credits at all. One of the representatives coldly laughed at Hammer Trading before leaving the forging room. What did you say?
Speak clearly before you leave.
Hammer Trading abruptly stood up after hearing this.
He thought he had heard wrong.